You know, if you're an IT pro, a security patch is just part of the job. You test it, you deploy it, you reboot, and you move on. But what happens when that reboot switch is connected to a city's power grid or a water treatment plant? Today, we're diving into the high-stakes world of industrial control systems, or ICS, where patching software literally means patching the physical world around us.
And look, this isn't just some crazy hypothetical. This is the absolute core challenge for anyone trying to secure our critical infrastructure. In this world, the consequence of a bad patch isn't a blue screen of death. It's a physical, immediate, and potentially catastrophic event. All those rules you learned in corporate IT, yeah, they pretty much go out the window here.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll define this new frontier. Then, we'll get into the massive differences between the IT world and the ICS world. We'll look at a really cool risk analysis tool from CISA, talk about what incident response looks like when the pressure is on, and then wrap it all up with the key lessons you can take with you.
All right, first up, let's get our bearings. We're stepping off the familiar ground of servers and data and into the world of operational technology. And trust me, it comes with a completely new set of security headaches.
So, what are industrial control systems? Well, ICS is the tech that's actually running the show behind the scenes. Look, these things aren't just crunching numbers in a database. They are opening physical valves, spinning massive turbines, and routing trains on a track. They're the digital hands that touch our physical world, and securing them is a whole different ballgame.
And to really get this, you have to understand that information technology and operational technology might as well be from different planets. They operate on fundamentally different principles, and that's where all the friction and challenges come from. Okay, this slide right here, this really gets to the heart of the matter. In our world, the IT world, we live and die by the CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We protect the data first and foremost. But you flip over to the ICS side, and that whole pyramid gets turned upside down. It is all about availability. The system has to stay running, no matter what. Everything else is a distant second.
So, just how important is availability? Well, a lot of these critical sectors are looking for 5 nines of uptime. That's an unbelievably high standard. And when you see what that actually means in terms of time, well, it gets pretty real pretty fast.
So what does 5 nines actually mean in the real world? It means the whole system can be down for less than 6 minutes per year. For everything. Maintenance, failures, you name it. All of a sudden, that little reboot required pop-up looks a whole lot scarier, doesn't it? You just can't have unscheduled downtime. It's not an option.
And it doesn't stop there. The challenges just keep piling on. I mean, you're talking about legacy systems that are ancient, maybe running on hardware from a company that doesn't even exist anymore. If you're lucky enough to get a maintenance window, it might be for a few hours once a year. Oh, and the best part? Applying a patch that isn't blessed by the vendor could void your entire system warranty. So if it breaks, you're on your own.
Okay, so if you can't just patch things whenever you want, how in the world do you manage risk? This is where you have to get smarter and more analytical, and there's a specific approach that CISA recommends for exactly this situation.
It's called the vulnerability footprint. Basically, you can think of it as a structured way of asking, okay, how bad is this vulnerability really for us in our specific environment right now? It's a way to move past just looking at a CVE score and start thinking about actual contextual risk.
What it does is create this visual risk diamond. It's designed to let you see at a glance where your biggest risks are. It has 4 points, and the further a point is stretched out from the center, the bigger that particular risk factor is for you. So it all boils down to these 4 key questions. First, deployment. How widespread is this thing? Is it on one non-critical machine, or is it on everything? Second, exposure. How easy is it for a bad guy to get to it? Is it buried deep in the network, or is it hanging out on the internet? Third, impact. What happens if it gets popped? Is it a minor headache or a full-on shutdown? And finally, simplicity. How hard is the exploit to pull off? Do you need a nation-state's resources, or can any script kiddie do it?
And to see how this works in practice, let's look at an actual CISA example. They analyzed the vulnerability where, okay, the impact and the simplicity were kind of medium to low, but the exposure was rated high. Why? Because any unauthenticated attacker could hit it from anywhere on the internet. That one single factor, its exposure, cranked up the urgency to get it patched immediately.
And this is the really crucial part. This tool gives you a documented, logical reason to make a decision. You can either say, we have to patch this now and here's the data to prove it, or you can say,
We can wait for the next maintenance window because these other factors lower the immediate risk. It's all about making smart, targeted decisions instead of just blindly patching everything.
All right, so that's the proactive side of things. But what happens when something actually goes wrong? Because no matter how well you plan, incidents happen. And in the ICS world, how you respond is everything.
You know, this quote from CSEP really hits the nail on the head. In an industrial environment, your best intrusion detection system might not be a fancy piece of software. It might be the operator who's been there for 20 years and just knows the sounds of the machines. They can feel when something just doesn't feel right, long before any alarm goes off.
And that means your indicators of a breach are going to look totally different. You're not just scanning log files for weird entries, you're looking for physical clues. Are safety systems being bypassed for no reason? Is the network going crazy with traffic when the machinery is supposed to be steady? Did some device just get a firmware update that nobody scheduled? These are the real red flags.
So when you finally do get approval to patch, the process itself has to be incredibly careful. If you have redundant systems, you always patch the offline standby unit first. Then you test it, you monitor it, you make absolutely sure it's stable. Only then do you promote it to be the live system. After that, the old live unit becomes the new standby, and now you can patch it. It's a slow, deliberate, and very safe dance.
And this really hammers home the golden rule here. You must have a tested rollback plan for every single thing you do. Look, a failed patch on a file server, that's a bad day at the office. A failed patch in a chemical plant, that's an entirely different universe of crisis. You have to be able to undo what you did, and you have to know it's going to work.
So after all that, what are the big lessons for us IT pros? Well, it really all boils down to a massive shift in how we think about security.
Really, the biggest takeaway is that you have to completely shift your mindset. All of your professional instincts, everything you've learned that prioritizes keeping data secret above all else, you have to put that on the back burner. In the ICS world, the new prime directive is making sure the system is on, it is running, and it is safe. Availability and safety are king.
And that really leaves us with one final big question for you. That wall between the corporate IT network and the operational OT network on the plant floor, it's crumbling. They are converging more and more every single day. So as that happens, are your security practices, your patching policies, your entire incident response plan, are they actually ready to protect the physical world? Because like it or not, it's on your network now.